Alright, let's look another game. The Lasker Capablanca match. Lasker on the white side, down by 3. And we get something different than Queen's Gambit. Well, in the same kind of a dull way. We have already seen this Ruy Lopez a bunch of times to get the Berlin, kind of. But then we don't really get the Berlin, but some kind of delayed Steinitz. Or Steinitz straight up. I don't know, I guess A6, D6 is the delayed Steinitz. Well, we've seen this d4 before, bishop d7, knight c3, bishop e7. Kappa's position is rock solid here. Well, this time in previous games we have seen like the rook e1 at some point. This time straight up pop. So, well, there is no reason to take with the b-pawn when the knight is not here. We don't get the open b file in like in some other games, but bishop takes, eyeing on here. We could still see rook e1. White could go for this one. It gets kind of messy. White takes there, black takes there. It looks like maybe we could, well, black can also take here with the d-pawn, of course, or c-pawn and use it to defend the bishop, but this is also kind of working out. It's trying to use the open e file at some point, but it looks like we won a pawn, but there is this counter pin, but white can still mess up the pawn structure, and it's something to play for, but we did not get that. Instead, queen d3, defending this here. Then black pops, because we were probably threatening to take the pawn now. Knight takes, it's the bishop, I say 5. Bishop says no and no. Looks good. Black has the bishop pair, white has the central pawn and more space. And is maybe a little bit ahead in the development front. We see this bishop g5 again. Since it leads to more trades, I don't know if it's good, but seems good enough though. We get castles and rook a e1. White is rook here, why not here? And this one here. Well, Lasker's plan is probably to this guy retain this guy here and play f4. And this guy comes to support the pawns rolling through. Well, we've seen this maneuver, a little bit different position, but h6, bishop h4, knight here in many games already. Trading the bishops. Well, like I said in the previous games, it's not like the bishop pair is not really working out here too much, so black doesn't really mind the trade here. And then, well, queen comes here, knight jumps to a very active square. d5 hits the queen, and then c4. Bit of a Maroczy bindish situation here. A good grip against the central push here. Not that it was probably coming anyways. Rook e8. And then we see the f4, white is rook remained on f1. Alright, so black says no. Of course, the downside of c6 is that questionable. Is it weak? Not. Well, black comes out of there, pins this guy, hits the b2. White just plays b3 and says that you can't really attack my knight, so I can leave the pin for now. Guess to be rook f2 would be another way, just breaking the pin in a, well, not ideal situation, but also covering that b3, but nothing wrong with b3 either. Well, this guy comes here, looks at this here. White decides that it's better to get out of here, free the knight, and black brings the knight into the game. Everything is kind of normal looking. White has more space. Black's kind of solid, except he has this weakness here, but can we put some pressure on it? And well, black's also putting some pressure on our e-pawn. So h3. Well, it's a luft. Maybe make some room for the king. But of course also a little bit weaknesses here. Black drops the bishop back. It's good as it is here as it would be here in a way that it works the diagonal, but at least we have the rook pawn defended now. And then white doesn't really know what to do with the rook, so we see a lot of rook play by Lasker now. Rook first goes to d1. Not that black is making a lot of progress either, but he does manage to double up the rooks on e-file. So questions. White is kind of thinking about doing the same, but doesn't. Here he could have played, for instance, g4, but it's risky and you have to worry about this stuff all the time here. Well, black swings the queen to here. And then white. Well, here it gets a little weird because white unpins the h-pawn. We see a6, nothing weird here. Not really doing much either, but slowly creeping forward. Then we get rook queen g6. Okay, pinned, but that's defended. No worries yet. Rook f3, we overprotected anyways. And then, well, first queen h5. So then few weird moves. So first f5. Of course, Lasker wants to do something. He's, I don't know, we're trying to kill the bishop in a way. But of course, it leaves this as a backwards pawn. Makes a big hole here if this could ever get there. It's annoying there. Of course, it's also blocking the e-file in a way if it's in there. So downsides. But how about this? And then white plays something weirdo here. You probably could have just played like a rook f1, for instance, because even though this is attacked, this black can't really take it, or he can, but then the queen is kind of stuck guarding the knight here, so he has all kind of a perpetuals here. Perpetuals on the queen. Probably get a repetition here or something. White did not play this one. I don't know if black would have taken the pawn if he did, or something similar. Not an only move here. But white plays a really bad move here. King h2. Running into a kind of a elementary tactic. Pop. Oh. Pop. Oh. I don't know. Pop. Thank you for the exchange. And not only are done with material, but this still is kind of crappo. Okay, there is this weak pawn here, but black defends it now. Lasker tries to build some kind of a blockade on the pawn, but there's too many ways to break this open for the rooks. So we get g6, pop, open it up a little bit. Rook e3. So also did open up the bishop. So instantly jumping, saying that can't take because you're pinned. Queen d3. And then black plays some room for the bishop to drop back. Instantly you cannot go here because then your bishop is actually trapped and the queen is not good in front of the battery because of course you cannot take. No good, no good. So the black's making some room there. White overprotects this a lot. Bishop drops back. Also defends the king a little bit there. White is pushing on this side. And then we hit this, but it's attacked 4 times. It's protected 4 times. And this is probably not going to get us anywhere. Well, white plays b5. We get chop, chop. I don't know if this was ideal in white's favor in any way, because it's the black who ends up using the A file. White's trying to keep the rook out, looking here, but it's defended so it doesn't have to move. Queen e1, king h7. Then we see chop, chop, and white offers a queen trade, further helping black in their task of simplifications. Black says yes, takes. I feel like Lasker probably was demoralized at this point. This gets pinned, so white defends the rook, and the other rook swings in. White gives up this pawn to get the rook here, but oh, the knight there, and then knight e5. Rook goes to c1, kicks this guy out of here. Well, not really, but white makes some room on the king side. We go harass this one, defend the bishop, and then we see chop. This guy kind of is almost looking like it's doing something, but black just says that there's nothing here. Goes for some kind of a mating net here. White tries to run away. Black just takes here, says that you have nothing here. This is also threatened, and then it's a mating net already, and well, also the fork here, but it's no good at all. Also, any move, other move also wins. Like this, these are hopeless anyhow. Pawn just runs through or anything. So after this one, Lasker just resigned. Had enough. It was a really bad game from white. And thus the match ends. Lasker says that he's sick and doesn't want to continue the game match. He's down by 4. So it's pretty hopeless situation anyways. But yes, I'm not sure I'm gonna do another one of these where we cover all the games, because were so many of those quite uneventful games, and it's kind of weird to ask the people to watch videos when nothing happens. It feels weird to make the videos anyways, but it was an experience covering every game of the match. It was a very short match, so kind of figured I might be able to get through it, even though I was struggling with even 14 games. Not sure there is any interest of this kind of stuff. We'll see. Anyways, it does kind of help me in a way that going through the games when I'm trying to explain what happens gets me understand sometimes the games a little better myself when I'm trying to explain what's happening to other people. Well, obviously not as good as some others, but it's the best I can do. But I do understand the play much better when you're trying to explain it to somebody else. In a way, it's good practice anyways to cover an entire match. Well, it was a lot of Queen's Gambits and Ruy Lopez Steinitz variations, whatever it is. Anyways, thanks for watching these, and ciao ciao.